absent. Looking at the agenda real quick, we're going to make a slight change on page 2, line item 13, bill number 1890. We are going to move that down after line 16. We're going to move that after executive session. So once we come back in a regular session, we will take care of bill number 1980 before we finish out the night. And so we're just going to move it towards the end after executive session. Outside of that, there is nothing else to amend at this time, so motion to approve the agenda.
Motion.
Motion by Black. Second by Volt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Regular meeting minutes of November the 17th, 2020. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Mouse.
Second.
Second by Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain, absent for Kevin. Regular meeting minutes of December 1st, 2020. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Black. Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. And finally, the special meeting minutes of December 10th, 2020. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Martin.
Second.
Second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, moving right along, Mr. Foreman is here this evening. He just recently completed a water study, which has provided us with lots of useful information. And I'll leave you come on up, sir. He's going to go over this with us. What we did here is we wanted him to evaluate our water rates, water usage, and kind of see where we fall in line with our program currently. So go ahead, sir. Please welcome. Thank you for coming this evening, and thank you for the work you've done for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and certainly appreciate you all's time this evening. I'll try not to take up too much of it. So we appreciate Christine's involvement here. She was the first one to contact me, I guess, based on going back to the days when I worked for MRPC back in 2014 and 16. Anyway, I'm Jeff Foreman. I'm with the Midwest Assistance Program, and you all have packets that describe a little bit about what we do. We are a private, not-for-profit type of organization that covers 9 states in the Midwest, basically upper Midwest, if you will, with Missouri being on the southeast corner. And then we're part of a national network called RCAP, the Rural Community Assistance Partnership. And that covers all 50 states plus Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. And our goal is to try to help communities help themselves, specifically addressing their technical, managerial, and financial challenges. And so along that line, one of the services we provide is, one of them I did here in October was kind of go through what we call TMF checklist, and we came up with some recommendations there, but just a few minor things. Outside of that, the initial contact was for the purposes of doing a rate study, excuse me, because I understood that your rates were low in water rates, and definitely they are. The study, I think we have to pour through right now, but certainly I'll try to answer any questions that you have to the best of my ability. But we've just been looking at the information I was given and the numbers. It looks like that you're basically about 1% of your median household income based on the census data for your drinking water. And the recommended rate by which the Missouri Water Wastewater Review Committee would determine eligibility for any grants that would go along with loans, that's more like a rate of 2% MHI per utility. And we're just looking at water here, but I think your wastewater is also low. But for right now, the water, we recommended a rate increase here, which reflects the fact that I guess you have no debt on the system right now, as I understand it. But the fact is, the matter is, to take on any debt, of course, you have to have an increase then, and then it's just like anything else. We don't like sticker shock as customers or as taxpayers, constituents. We think that if you could raise rates enough to make your system truly sustainable, to take in more than you spend, with the idea of setting aside some money for debt service reserve when it comes about and some money for short-term asset replacement, then in that case, you would, the system would operate in black, would not have to be subsidized in any other way, and you'd be in a position to make the repairs and improvements as you go along and be in a better place to show that you're committed to the idea of what it would take to repay any kind of debt that you need to incur from USDA rural development or from the DNR drinking water state revolving fund or some other source for major system improvements that you might want to make at some point in the future. I don't know exactly what all your needs are. I know you don't really apparently have any chlorination or anything here.
Not currently, no permanent chlorination.
Yeah, I understood it was temporary.
We did have temporary chlorination here a year or so ago, maybe not quite that long, but we were able
That's
to.
one of what I was saying.
Yeah, we were able to get everything taken care of and able to end the chlorination, fortunately, very fortunately.
Well, good. But that's a luxury we have here in the Ozarks of good quality groundwater that usually doesn't require very much in the way of treatment. No treatment plant, and not even chlorination in some cases, but DNR, depending on your test results, they may see that differently at some point in time. If you chlorinate the entire system, then you've got a fairly major upgrade coming. So, anyway, this recommendation that we have made for how we feel like that you could work your way towards a sustainable system that would operate, standalone and be able to make the changes and improvements and just improve yourself for the future. One way or the other. I want to say something real quick to Alderman Copley. I'm a native of Chamois. My dad and your grandfather worked together at Central Electric Power for many years. Vern Higgins, is he your grandfather? Or am I wrong on
Do what?
that? Vern Higgins, is he your grandfather? Was he his grandfather? No. Okay, well, then that takes care of that. I thought that's a great connection there. I was just going to throw that out there a long time too. But anyway, one way or the other, it goes to show that we're all in this together. Primarily where I work is in eastern Missouri and down in the southeastern Missouri towards Boot Hill, a little bit off to the west as well. We kind of try to cover whatever needs to be done and then however we need to do it. There's a staff of about 40 in MAC, but there's only 3 or 4 of us here covering Missouri. So we keep that spread out wide and stretch thin once in a while. When we take on a community, we try to do what we can to help your situation and help you find solutions to problems and make things better for your citizens. We've all got a stake in this in rural Missouri and rural America to make ourselves sustainable and make ourselves viable and show how it can be done. So that's really all I had now. If anyone has any questions from the rate study or anything involving that or whatever, we'd be glad to answer that now, or if something comes up later, we can always provide feedback. We've got a network of resources to draw from within our organization if we need to see more specific information.
Mr. Foreman?
Yes.
My name is Debbie Martin. Do you have information from surrounding cities as far as ours is at 1%? Let's say fairly immediate, St. James, Stillville, Owensville.
Yeah, I don't myself. That's something we could probably, provide access if we need to. I don't know if Merrimack has any information like that that they would track or not.
They usually do. You can get that information. I can get that for you.
Thank you.
It's a good question. It's something that it's always good to compare to your neighbors, but again, we're looking at what it takes to make people sustainable and maybe we exempt for you.
So you say that currently our rate is based on 1% of the median income in our city?
Yeah, did I identify the income here? This is probably sure I did. I think it was,
Well, either way.
30,000 a year, maybe, some.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. But in the standard, typically is 2%?
Well, what you have is you have an organization called the Missouri Water and Wastewater Review Committee, and this committee is made up of representatives from the Department of Economic Development, CDBG program, USDA Rural Development, and the DNR Loan Programs, Financial Assistance Center. And their standard for evaluating applications that would come in based on an engineering report, you know, for a major project, their standard is 2% to be considered a fair share, by which, you know, any costs, you know, if your rates were at that level, and your finances showed that you needed some grant assistance, they could possibly provide that, on a ratio there, I don't know, 70-30 possibly, in some, in a lot of cases. It all
Sure.
depends, it's community by community. But if you don't have your rates at least 2%, and you came before the committee for a major project, for them to approve, public financing, then they would, almost certainly only recommend loan, financing for the whole shebang. And I think you all qualify for CDBG funding on the basis of the census data that they're currently operating under. I don't know what will happen here about 2022 or 23, but for the time being, that's, I think you qualify that way, and that we'd be happy to leave that on the table if you didn't have your rates at a level that would qualify for, to get CDBG involved.
Sure. So we're trying to attack a rather large water and sewer project to fix old infrastructure.
Right.
And that's sort of, looking into that, we realized we don't, our rates won't allow us to qualify for these grants, which is unfortunate, so, that's why we wanted to have you come in and take a look around and see how you can help us, so we greatly appreciate your time. We're definitely gonna have to figure out which direction we wanna go and what implications that might have on the average citizen if we do a rate increase. So, can't necessarily say we're gonna do that, but it also shows us that, you know, if we wanna be eligible for assistance in the future, we're probably gonna have to, you know, get ourselves in line and prepared for that.
Yeah, as I said, you know, water's been cheap and plentiful for a long time, and conservation is also important, and I have to encourage, you know, people just not, being as wasteful as we could be sometimes in the past. Some communities we work with don't even have meters. So, you know, you've got that. Of course, you're a larger community than most that we work with. We worked recently with Leesburg, and that would be more the size of the county we work with. So, you know, kind of a little bit of new ground for me here. Wanted to mention that the USDA person that covers this area, the area specialist working out of the Houston office, her name is Emma Hohen Street, which is, I was talking to her about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she said that she'd really be interested in working with the city at some point this year for the development. And we can help with the application process and that sort of thing too with the USDA in particular.
Very good. One thing I would say, just kind of outlining some of this is, you know, you mentioned chlorination. Q has always been very, very, very proud of our water. We have very good tasting water here.
Well, you got a award, I think, a few years ago, maybe from MRWA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whenever we did have to temporarily chlorinate here recently, you know, nobody liked it. You know, I mean, you could smell it in the rain sink, and it's just nobody was used to it, and we're all proud of our water. So, keeping that in mind, and the fact that we don't want to get ourselves in a position where we have to have permanent chlorination, and the fact that if there would be a minimal rate increase to allow us to meet some of these thresholds, it would help us have that money available to qualify for some of these grants if needed, and help improve our system where we can keep our water where we like it.
Sure.
And not be forced to permanently chlorinate, which, you know, came up here recently and is also a very expensive project too, like it or not. So that's definitely something that we want to consider. Yes,
Hey,
Kevin?
this study, water study here, kind of a little interested in this, the numbers you gave. 5, 6 years ago, we did a study, I did one myself, with an engineer doing one.
Okay.
And there's a number or two in there that's my number, so I want to run something by you. 5 or 6 years ago, they asked us to raise our rates. They asked us to raise our rates to $17.75 per minimum. And,
Can I clarify, he's talking about sewer rates, by the way.
Oh, this sewer right
This
there?
is water.
This is water.
This is water,
I'm
and you're
not
talking
sure.
about sewer rates, yeah.
Because I noticed everything's pretty well the same here, because
Yeah, no, when you did that, that was on the sewer rates, he is discussing water rates.
he got, but they're still not the same here I'm seeing. But that's all right, I won't get into
He
it.
has it at 5K and not the 1K, so
Yeah,
that
I
might be.
see that. All right.
Well, we can certainly look at sewer at some point in the future as well, if you all are interested in doing that.
So is this water rates gonna raise our sewer rates? No?
No,
Not necessarily.
nothing's gonna be raised, he's just.
That's what concerns me here, because I see, 18, and the water 17.75, and our sewer rates, our water rate 4.50, the sewer is, and this is 5 per 1,000 gallons. Okay, I'm good.
And Christina, her and I, looked at some of these figures, and I'll clarify that I did not really at this time yet address your rates for customers outside city limits, that we have a higher like surcharge for them, just like I paid surcharge for wastewater, living outside of the city, but paid the city sewer district.
So you're saying 2% is pretty good rate average in years, each year, whatever, for 2,000 something?
Well, and that's the other side of it, but you got to remind me that I went ahead, we have a spreadsheet that we work with, and ran some numbers that you probably don't have at this time, but this is kind of a speculation. A lot of times, we recommend for communities to raise their rates to that sustainable level, but then to also review that every year. Everything else tends to go up. I mean, I know it's
Correct.
fuels inflation, but on the other hand, why be the one that falls on the sword? If the cost of equipment and machinery, labor, tax, insurance, benefits and everything else goes up, then, the rates would have to reflect, an adjustment as well each year. So 2 to 3% usually is considered to be adequate, for that purpose alone. But keep in mind, as I said, that if you raise the rates to X level, don't just sit on those for 10, 15 years. I think you're good. You want to kind of keep up, the stair step.
Well, I think you got some pretty good safe numbers here for us, as I'm looking at it.
And I didn't, again, you're not taking on debt at this point in time. Then you have to have an underwriter, to tell you what you're going to have to do, like DADs or somebody on that line. So, that's another line. Name escapes me, but we see all the time. Anyway, you're not doing that now. But you're just to get yourself sustainable and have your water valued at the cost that it ought to be for your customers to access. That's kind of what we came up with, and just kind of a fair adjustment recommendation I felt like there. And of course, it's entirely up to the board and council and so forth to accept whatever decision you make.
Absolutely. We'll certainly be having a water committee meeting right after the holidays are over to take a deeper look at these numbers and compare them with ours and how the rates might reflect these changes and start doing our math on our end. But we certainly appreciate your help and your organization's help in coming down here. And imagine you probably spent quite a few days around here, so hopefully your time is enjoyable in Cuba.
Well, it certainly has been. Even was here in the early 70s as a basketball manager for Chimoy High School. So
Oh, yeah.
Here at Cuba, and we made a number of trips to Bourbon. Boy, we thought we'd never get there. Everybody says that they go to Chimoy too. So it's 10 miles from over. But anyway, I do appreciate you all's time, and certainly look forward to continuing to work with the city and any way we can.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it. All right. Just real quick, we got some other surprise visitors pop in this evening. So, gentlemen, please come on up. You'll remember these guys from the Cuban Revitalization Project.
Hello, everyone out there today.
Doing good?
Ben Zoo, our partner is here. Unfortunately, our other partner, Brad, is not here because of good things, though. He had a kid on November 13th, Friday the 13th, so a little bit of good luck during these pandemic times. So he's a little bit preoccupied quarantining before the holidays, but as Cody mentioned, we just want to come back and just say, hey, everyone, we're progressing very nicely since our meeting in October. If you recall, we're working just behind Dottie's there in the industrial park, where we're going to be utilizing 15 acres of land for cultivation and then also With that, we were able to submit our variances with the state. We've also expedited a lot of our civil and architectural doings and findings. Craig's about to be busy with us here shortly, I'm sure. But with that, we're going to hear back from the state in terms of our approved timeline, which we suspected around July to August of full completion of construction. So there's a lot between now and then. What's coming before you all today is a conversation between our attorney, his name is Drew Weber, family law firm. Actually, my grandpa started out of St. Charles, your guys' attorney, in regards to what we saw in terms of the land and deed transfer. There's a component in there related to that you guys will talk about, but essentially what we're looking for, it is a high valuation on that component. As you recall, we're going to be the developers of this element, and for why this is important to us, why we wanted to come today, why this is on the agenda, is in fact that any additional money that we look to secure on this deed restriction, if it's encumbered by this threshold, the number that you guys say, I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about, but the number is $600,000 on that land component up there. So what you all see is that the only change that will come through this, and don't take my word, take the city attorney's word for it, is essentially our goal is to, as soon as we get the timeline established with the state verification process or variance, we will be breaking ground in January, period. The next thing that's happened, obviously with appropriate permitting and things of that nature, but our civil and our construction team is very, very keen on getting this going. We're going to be adhering to everything, obviously, but we have already our requests and everything from our prefab metal building engineers to the tunage of $1.9 million that we're going to be initially investing just in the metal construction. We're going to be around $500,000 just in utility work. So the main thing that's going to be decided on later is essentially if we don't get completed within a 12-month time frame, that land is not ours. It will go back to the city essentially with some actually enhancements to the land. So essentially, if we don't build out, given the time that we've talked about with your guys' colleague and attorney, that land would not be retained from us. So essentially, in order for us to have an unrestricted deed on that land, essentially we would be able to get additional money and funds and secure the investor elements to it. Right now, we have about $5 million that we're planning out for this. That's just for the exterior work, essentially. The guts of this, and this project's entirety, is going to be around $10 million. So essentially, as we're working through this, it's very exciting, and we have made a lot of progress since we met almost about 2 months ago. It's hard to believe. But I just wanted to pop in and say hello. My partner Ben and I, and Brad sends us hello with his new baby Theo. But that's really what you guys are going to be talking about later. I don't think I misrepresented anything, and obviously the devil's always in the details. But essentially, we just wanted to come here and essentially say that we would not retain possession of this land if we do not say what we're going to do, period. So even all the work that will be done, there's not going to be restrictions on that. So if we put in $500,000, we have these prefab buildings and everything's on there, we are not going to keep possession per the terms of that agreement with the land. So I just want you guys to understand kind of what's going on with that. It's important for us, it's important for you all, and this is something that would help us secure additional funds because it's going to be a quote-unquote robust enterprise that's going out there. And we don't have to worry about the tax elements there because there's no tax breaks for us, so the city is really going to benefit along with a lot of the careers that benefit from it. So I'm here for just questions. I try to keep it to 4 minutes. I think I was at 3. I speak fast. But is there any thoughts or questions? I know you guys are going to vote on this later, but we just wanted to pop in and say hello. I'm sorry for the surprise.
No, anytime.
We want to come in and surprise more, so.
Thank you for coming down and explaining your position on this.
Mhm.
Again, we have executive session later this evening to discuss the finer details with our attorney, and then once we come out of that, we'll be discussing a vote to go ahead and approve the contract, so that way you guys can hopefully stay willing, get busy on this
Yeah.
as soon as possible.
And so where we went just one last time, so kind of how this is, you've heard maybe some dispensaries or cultivations pop up. Essentially, the variance on this is essentially stating the progressive timeline that we have. So that's all the state is looking at in regards to that, along with the license change request that we submitted from our previous processing and manufacturing. So you all were a tremendous help. It means the world to us. And once again, this is just the beginning and opening, because we still have to work and solidify everything that we're saying. So, there's a lot of trust both ways, and you all have been tremendously helpful with this. To Dr. Siebert, Craig, Cody, attorneys, everyone's been great. So, just want to pop in and say thanks, and let us know if there's anything. We're an open book, so if you guys need anything, don't hesitate. Cody has my number. You talk to our attorneys too.
Yeah, if we have any questions during executive session, we'll give you a ring.
All right, happy holidays. Hope everyone stays safe, and thank you all for your time.
All right, thanks,
Continue.
guys.
All right.
All right.
Thank you for the chair.
Do we have any other citizens participation this evening? Okay. Hearing none. Moving on, emergency preparedness director report. Is somebody here to speak for Mr. Rodney this evening? Okay. Rodney was unable to make it this evening due to recent events. Right. Everything's fine with Rodney. Okay. Moving on then, public works director, Craig, come on up.
Alright.
Now, we got a few items for us this evening.
Yes,
Looks
so
like.
first discussion here is 211 miles. Me and Lance had chatted about this. Looking for some guidance where to go with this thing. I gave all you guys a copy of this over there.
Property fence issue?
There's a fence on it and a building, and it's not a temporary building.
So this is pertaining to where you guys need to trim trees, correct?
No, this is now related to Moss and Davis Street.
Gotcha.
But there's a fence and a building sitting partially out.
And you tried to contact the homeowner many times, correct?
Yes, there's been 2 certified letters, got it back. I tried to make contact, no contact with them.
Are they signing the certified letters or rejecting?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they haven't ever responded
No.
on how they feel about the situation?
Had 0 response.
How long has the building been there?
I couldn't tell you. I found it in June of this year. Is when I saw it there. About the fence was built, I think. And the fence was built out of permit also.
So, Lance, what are your thoughts on this?
I think to take the fence down, they can move the building over.
I mean, simply put, that's, you know, I feel like we probably have the right to do that.
Without question, it's,
Yeah.
it's within the city's property. If you showed up and your neighbor had put a building in the street, you move it out of the way.
Yeah.
Same thing,
Sure.
except that we have more authority than even
Right.
in that situation.
Right.
They're blocking off a,
They could potentially block it.
so.
What is your thoughts on the contents of the building? I don't know what's in the building, can I get a response?
Thought my understanding was that it's a,
It's got holes in the ground, it's actually in the ground, and look at it.
well, that's different than what you had told me last time.
Yes, I wouldn't look at it, yes, it is a structure.
Well,
They know the alley was there,
I'm assuming they did not, no, I'm sure they didn't survey the property.
so they probably figure it's their property.
I would assume, the fence is crooked, as you can see on the picture of it.
And why do we need the alley open?
We have utilities down there. Yeah, the building's different than I thought originally, here's where you go that way.
so will it destroy the building to move?
Jesus, all right, well, yes.
That's the problem that we have with this stuff. For years, I've lived here my whole life. I didn't know there was an alley through there. And people buy that property, they don't know that. We don't mark our easements or our alleys.
Well, this is recorded easement, isn't it?
Yes, it's recorded.
So when they buy it, they should be getting that paperwork. Whenever they put the building up, they should have went and got a permit for that. But they probably didn't,
Did they get a permit for it?
Probably just-
No.
put the building up.
Do you know how old the building is? Yeah. I assume a couple of years, you don't.
So it hasn't been there for 50 years?
No, you have any idea, Curtis? He's closer than I am, where this is at.
Probably less than a year.
Oh, the building's as new as the fence.
I wish they would communicate.
Well, they've been given notice for at least, what, 2 months?
Last one was October 17th, I think, was the last response. October 27th.
I mean, we've given them more than enough.
I agree, it just,
And
it seems like it'd be so much easier
to
for,
respond.
sit down and have a conversation about it, you know?
That's what I'd like to do.
We've reached out and sent certified mail and
And they were told there was an alley back there before they built the fence.
They were told that.
They were told that.
So, I would, as far as the contents, I don't know how much, what are we talking about? How much contents are in the building?
I don't know what's in it, I have no idea on that, I've never seen the door
No peepees down there.
open.
Is this the place next door to you? The double wide?
Has our communication basically been paid on our property?
Well,
I honestly think that
I
I've
thought
got
we
it
were
in
gonna
front of
talk
me,
about
we
the
should have a
alley.
conversation and talk about it, you gotta get that
They
done.
said, okay.
With the certified letters, were you just asking to meet with them?
I didn't put my phone number, I told the fly about it.
Do you need to be more impolite in our letter?
I don't think so. I mean, we told them that it's gonna be, they can either move it or we can move it.
So that's in the content of the letter, that's what I'm asking, is
Yes,
what,
that's the.
They're-
what was the content of the letter?
They're aware that we
Suggested?
might remove it by the contents of the letters we read, yes,
Okay,
yes.
that is correct.
And they're still not reaching out to argue their case.
And what I had prior been told was that there was a transportable building, and so what I said was just move the building onto their property. I mean, if it's a few feet, push it over, then it's all on their property, but it sounds like you're not gonna be able to do that. So,
What is the immediate need to get through there? Are we doing some line work back there or anything?
We have a power line through there, yes.
And is it inhibiting us from getting to where we need to be right now?
We're gonna get a neighbor's yard to get around it, so we get off our easement to get.
You have to get off our easement on private property just to get around the building.
Yes.
Yeah,
What is it, 12 foot easement?
it's pretty unacceptable.
12 foot or 6 foot into it, so pickup
Right.
truck's not gonna go around it.
You know, if I was a neighbor, I wouldn't be happy if, you know, unfortunately, a city truck had to drive through my yard and run it up just because somebody else has a permanent structure in the middle of an easement.
Yes.
So,
So even if we take the fence down that's in the alleyway, they're still not going to bypass the building and
No,
stay on our property?
that's the building's concern at this point, not the construction of it.
well, I would recommend certified mail again one more time with a notice with an exact date that we're gonna have to remove this property, you know, give them 30 days, whatever. But say, you know, this is the third notice, this has been discussed in open session with the council, you've been reached out. Please contact a representative of the city, if not effective, you know, on whichever date you choose, giving them some notice. The city's gonna go in there and take care of it.
Okay.
And as long as that's certified and they sign it, they know what's going on and they have every opportunity to reach out to us before we go take matters into our own hands.
Are the owners of the property, who lives there, the residents?
Yes.
Fair enough. Anything else on that one, council? Let's do that and see what we get.
Okay.
Okay, what else you have?
Yes, natural gas, $5,162.71. I'm just looking at the council, okay, it's stock parts and stuff that you buy down for the gas department.
Motion to get the park.
Second.
Okay, motion by Val, second by Black to make the purchase on the necessary parts for the natural gas department. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
What was that company?
It is, Gas Products Sales Incorporated.
Okay, thank you, council.
Okay, we normally deal with.
Yes. Parts are getting on to get right now, so much stuff.
What else you have on there, Craig?
That is all I have.
Okay, so with that, you have a little bit of a water and sewer progress presentation for us.
Yes, it's been a while to show here, we've got some ideas, we have the professionals come and give us some ideas on line and manhole stuff,
Okay,
which is on that map, and we're just gonna blow it up.
everybody has a color map. And
That's
that's
how
how,
this one will show you, if you got any questions or anything on it. On what we're thinking here.
so this map represents one of the areas of town that's
The old part of town.
in more need, more of the immediate need.
Yes, yeah.
To help solve our I&I issues. So through, the advice that we had from Eco Engineering, through Mr. Jim Stevenson, who's a consultant with the city, in some of these plans that we've laid out, you're trying to get a plan of attack, start getting after this sewer project, correct?
Yeah, basically, all the red was a suggestion to be replaced. That's not saying they were relined.
That was total replacement, not relined.
Yes.
Correct.
Relined.
Lines and circles. Circles are manholes, lines are mains.
Correct.
But we do know, we've got to add a sewer line right here. It's got to change around Jimmy's building, we've got to fix that, we got to get engineer with that.
So is all the yellow, mains that can be lined?
Yes, for the line.
And is that what you guys are gonna be seeking further pricing on, is what it would cost to line all that?
Yes, yes, you guys approve, yes, we'll get some bids on, some guys come in and tell us what the numbers are.
Tell us what it costs to get that line. And then now on the site, total dig ups, I mean, the city be digging that up and replacing those mains, or having to get some contractor help, or what are your plans there?
Well, like the short stretch on Phillips Street, we can do that in-house. That's just, there's 4 or 5 houses, we need to get down here to Main Street. That's what we need to do there.
Mhm.
This other section's 4 inch, or 6 inch, and they suggest 8 inch, and it's decent stuff, we need to put a manhole out the street, on the road, where the T goes, just a T out there. And a couple of the other orange ones, we don't have data on, we need to look into those, see what's happening there, they're not on.
Okay.
Report it.
On the report. So they'll look into lining those manholes as well.
Yes, yes, we've had looked 4 or 5 of them, 2 companies, they said they're very confident fixing it, which is considerably cheaper to replace.
Rico says we need to replace like 21 manholes,
Mm-hmm.
and, a few guys that came in said there's nothing wrong with them structural wise. Line them. So
Which is a drastic cost difference.
probably half the cost.
Sure.
I think there's like 62 manholes, about 10,666 foot over here, the line, zero lines.
So are you asking us to allow you to get some bids for this work?
Yeah, that's your suggestion, that's whichever way you guys want us to go, like.
For sure, we need to get a cost on it, and also a timeline of how long it might take. You know, is this a project we can do on this budget? Is this gonna extend into next year's budget as well? I mean, you know, those are some of the things that we need to have reported back to us, so we know where we wanna go with it.
When are you gonna have your numbers?
It'll probably be first of next year.
Or is the
It's
next
not
year?
gonna be this year for sure.
You mean 2021 or 2022?
2021.
Okay, you say next year, but it's like next week. So, just clarify.
Is it fine to go get some numbers on this?
Yeah.
I have a question. So I understand the red and all that sort of stuff. Is this from the people who have currently looked at it, or is this from Mikos?
This is Rico's.
Okay, so are you saying all those red ones, they're along where Phillips and Dan's or whatever that is, they do or they do not need to be replaced?
Those do. Along,
Are you agreeing with their red is
not all of them,
one? Okay,
but in that area right here,
okay,
right
yeah,
here,
right,
those 2 need to be replaced. We might be able to line this that's in the street,
okay,
but for sure maybe these 3.
okay.
And they're a pain to get to, but we're not gonna do it.
And you shed in the morning.
Hopefully no shit, but we're gonna be,
They are using this.
it was a,
Well, we know this is one of the main areas that we have to attack, and starting with this area will help alleviate a lot of it and allow us to move our focus to other areas and break this project up a piece at a time and make it much more affordable for the city. Not trying to pass a bond or borrow any money or any of that kind of stuff, so, I guess I would love for you to, and I know you've already been speaking with these gentlemen, and from my understanding, they've been extremely helpful and friendly and willing to come down here and work with us, but to try to figure out some costs and time projections on this project, for sure. So, I mean, Lance, we need to make a motion to allow him to go ahead and start talking with these guys to get some numbers together. Can we get a motion?
Can I ask who these guys are? I missed it.
I'm sorry, this is the name of the firms, these firms that you've been working with.
The ones we're talking to, Ace Pipe,
Thank you.
Busy Sewer's one, Midwest Infrastructure's another one. And what's the fourth one?
I've got a stitchy form coming tomorrow. So that'll be our 4th one.
A what?
A stitchy form. In situ form.
I'll get that from you.
I can't get it. So, you know, what's nice about it is there's a lot of people that are willing to come down here and take a look at this and,
And then these recommendations came from Archer.
the gentleman you're working with, the recommendations came from Archer.
Yes, yeah, they suggest a lot of them.
Thank you, Archer.
You know, RWA did too, so, Jimmy.
No, and the RWA's, that's good, you know, obviously they're,
But there's another area here, I'm curious to what, that goes on Jim Gunn's building, it's gotta be something else.
We're going to move.
We've got an elevation issue there. which
where's this?
Right here.
Building?
Right here. We've got a lift station coming off of this, and we need to go around this building or something there, so that's gonna be engineered some way, somehow.
That's old clay line.
Yeah,
Okay.
that the old building actually goes under, the new building's at behind it. And we may have to change some elevations on down to get it all works.
Well, I mean, we have Cameron driving all around town already anyway looking at stuff, so what's one more pit stop? But no, yeah, we'll definitely have to figure that part out too,
The
so.
rest of that can be done with those, so we can see ourselves.
Sure. Council, can we get a motion to let Craig move forward on this?
Motion.
And motion by Martin to allow Craig to seek bids and information from these institutions on what it would take to get this project done. So, motion by Martin. Second by Bow. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good. It's gonna be exciting to hear what they come up with on that. Any questions for the gentleman on the sewer project? Obviously, it seems like they've done some of their homework, and now it's time to bring the professionals and see what kind of costs we have and timelines we have. Kevin, I understand you had the opportunity to go to a couple of places yesterday and discuss some of this.
We had to add all that to that.
I said, I understand you had the opportunity to go to a couple of places yesterday and discuss some of this.
Yeah, I think that's
So good, that
I put
helps.
together some stuff too. I'm
Okay.
sure you all read it today.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, I took my own horn. I put it together and read it today. Thank you.
And actually, the system we're looking at is the Diamond Master using, so.
Okay.
How useful it is, we actually overlaid that on the map and it works, so.
Very good. Thank you for that, and we look forward to updates. Hopefully at the next meeting, you'll have some more information on that.
That's my idea.
Real quick, before I forget, one other thing I wanted to ask you about tonight was just on the splash pad and the pool.
He's gonna be here Monday.
Okay,
We finally got a meeting, he's gonna come down with his, construction group, and him, and he actually talked like he was gonna get concrete marked, and cold weather, he'll start in the house right now,
right.
and get the plumbing changed over, because he's.
I just really hope the timeline's still gonna be ready for May.
Hopefully weather permitting, they're gonna start in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah, I'd hate for there to be any issues where we can't open on time. Okay, alrighty. We have some tree trimming bids. Craig, would you like to explain the area that we sent these bids out for?
The tree bids on this is basically Roots Road, Creek Subdivision, and Highland Terrace. Pretty broad area.
And the gentleman came and met with you and walked the properties and surveyed and made sure they had the right equipment for the job and understand the scope of work that we're looking for.
If the two, I think it turned it in, they're both a washer, and they know exactly what's going on.
Okay, well, the first bid we have for the job is from AAA Tree Service. So we will open that up and see what we have. AAA Tree Service, complete trimming of root subdivision, haul away all wood and brush, $26,500. Okay, that's AAA Tree Service, $26,500. Brown's Tree Service was our second bid. It's like everybody watching the open presents on Christmas Day, you know? Okay, Brown's Tree Trimming. Tree trimming as listed per map, north and south of PP Root Subdivision, 10 foot each side to sky, unless directed differently. Approximately 6 weeks of work, we would be running a machine, a bucket machine, okay, due to the fence situation. So again, similar properties, they've reviewed these with you. Brown's Tree Services for $59,300. So we have Triple A Tree Service, $26,500, and Brown's for $59,300.
I make a motion to accept AAA tree service.
Okay, motion by Black to accept AAA Tree
I
Service.
got one thing, Cody.
Sure.
That's a little lower than what's left in the budget.
The 26.5,
Yes.
we got 25 left.
22.6.
So can we squeeze out another 4,500
That's up to you guys.
to get this job done, council?
I think can.
I think we can too. So, motion by Black to accept AAA Tree Service. Second by Bass. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will get it taken care of. Would you like to do these? Okay, thank you for that. Next item up is our surplus bids. We had surplus property that's hit the paper. We had many items that were posted for bid. However, we only received 2 bids. One for one item, one for another item. So, with that being said, we're gonna have a lot of leftover property, so we can have another, bid notice, or sit on it for a little bit, or whatever you wanna do there. Maybe drop the reserves on some of these other items. The first bid here is for the pallet landscaping timbers, the pallet of landscaping timbers. 65 total, we set a reserve for those at $100. So let's open this up here. My bid is for the pallet of 65 landscape timbers, $167, Joy Brandenburger. Okay, so that does go above the reserve of $100, and then is the only bid for that item.
Make a motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Black, seconded by Bass. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Ms. Brandenburger has the landscape timbers. The second bid we received actually says bid on the 4-foot blade. However, we don't have a 4-foot blade advertised. We have a 5 and 2 6s. So is this probably for the 5-foot blade? Okay, so this is actually for the Land Pride 5-foot brush hog, which the reserve on this item was set at $300.
I think it's bladed.
Brush hog, model RCR 1860-2008 model. Then we have a 6-foot finish mower and a 6-foot John Deere brush hog. 5-foot 3-point grader blade.
I think that's
That's what this is for? Okay. Apologize, this is for a 5-foot 3-point grader blade, which the reserve was set at $100. Bid on 5-foot blade at the old city building, does that sound right, Craig? $101 by Bob Baldwin. And reserve is set on that item again at $100.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Black. Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So these other 9 or 10 items, we'll just maybe look at the reserve prices and think about rerunning these after the holidays or something,
It's fine.
and then go from there.
Do we need a motion to repost them again?
Do we need a motion to repost the items that didn't get bid on this time?
We will probably do that, but we can't do that until we know what we're gonna
Okay.
require for the bids. The minimum bids.
Right, yeah, work on that, bring it to the next meeting, because it'll be after the holidays, and then we can try to get it reposted. Okay, thank you for that. Police chief report.
We don't have anything.
Anything for police chief or captain this evening?
Have we seen any, action on any of the nuisance properties?
I know that Doug met with the municipal judge, Steve Paulus. I had other things going on, I couldn't attend that meeting, so I don't know what was said. You have to speak with Doug about the contents of that meeting.
Thank you.
What I want to do on that, Ben and the council, and Chris, and I'll tell Doug too, we'll just go ahead and on every meeting, on every agenda, under police chief report, put a nuisance update. And just, that way, every single meeting, you know it's on the agenda, whether you're here, Doug's here, whoever, you know that it's gonna be on there every 2 weeks. Fair enough? You just add that in there, just leave it in there? Okay. Anything else for the police? Okay. Bills to be paid. You have the bills in front of you as well as the additions we received this afternoon. Motion to pay the bills.
Motion.
Motion by Black. Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Line item 11, bill number 1978, which is an ordinance authorizing the mayor, well, Chris is gonna read it for us several times, so, let's go ahead and move on to this. Motion for the first reading of bill number 1978.
Motion.
Motion by Black, seconded by Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with University of Central Missouri and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to accept a grant for DWI enforcement over December holiday season in 2020.
Okay, you've heard the first reading, bill number 1978. Motion to approve. Motion by Holt.
Second.
Second by Faust. Full council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Bounce,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Okay, first reading of bill number 1978 passes 5-0. Motion for the second reading of bill number 1978.
Motion.
Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Black. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading.
an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with University of Central Missouri and Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to accept a grant for DWI enforcement over December holiday season in 2020.
Okay, for the second reading of bill number 1978, motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Black, seconded by Martin. Full council, please.
Martin,
Yes.
Baus,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Okay, let me show the second reading of bill number 1978, passes 5-0. It is now special ordinance 800. 800. Okay, moving on to line item 12. Motion for the first reading of bill number 1979.
Motion.
Motion by Black. Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading, please.
sorry.
You're fine.
An ordinance approving and adopting for the city of Cuba, Missouri, a section 125 plan for the benefit of the employees of the city of Cuba, Missouri.
Okay, you've heard the first reading of bill number 1975. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Holt. Full council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Baus,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Okay, first reading passes 5-0. Motion for second reading.
Motion.
Motion by Black.
Second.
Second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, please.
an ordinance approving and adopting for the city of Cuba, Missouri, a section 125 plan for the benefit of the employees of the city of Cuba, Missouri.
Okay, you've heard the second reading of bill number 1979. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Holt. Full council, please.
Martin,
Yes.
Baus,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Copeland,
Yes.
Okay, second reading of bill number 1979 passes 5-0. It is now special ordinance 801. 801. Number 13, we're gonna move down the line until after our executive session. So, number 14, bill number 1981. Motion for the first reading.
Motion.
Motion by Baus,
Second.
second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading, please.
an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with CM Archer Group, PC, for engineering services.
Okay, you've heard the first reading of bill number 1981. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Baus,
Second.
second by Black. Full council, please.
Copeland,
Yes.
Holt,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Baus,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Okay, first reading of bill number 1981 passes 5-0. Motion for second reading.
Motion.
Motion by Baus,
Second.
second by Holt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with CM Archer Group PC for engineering services.
For the second reading of bill number 1981. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Bass. Second by Black. Full council, please.
Martin?
Yes.
Stout?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Copeland?
Yes.
Okay, second reading of bill number 1981 passes 5-0. It is now special ordinance 803. 803. Bill number 1982. Motion for first reading.
Motion.
Motion by Black.
Second.
Second by Bass. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? First reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with CM Archer Group PC for engineering services to evaluate police department and existing facilities.
Okay, motion to approve first reading of 1982. Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Black. Poll the council, please.
Copeland?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Stout?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Okay, first reading of bill number 1982 passes 5-0. Motion for second reading.
Motion.
Motion by Bass. Second by Black.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, second reading, please.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city, to enter into an agreement with CM Archer Group PC for engineering services to evaluate police department and existing facilities.
You've heard the second reading of bill number 1982. Motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Bass.
Second.
Second by Black. Poll the council, please.
Martin?
Yes.
Bass?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Copeland?
Yes.
Okay, second reading passes 5-0. Bill number 1982 is now special ordinance 804. 804. And thank you for coming tonight, Cameron. Yeah, absolutely. We're very excited too. We'll try not to call you every day and bug you too much. You might be awesome. Okay, motion to move into executive session. Motion by Holt, seconded by Bass. All full council going, full council, please.
Copeland?
Yes.
Holt?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Bass?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Okay,